Welcome to the Cookbook, where we invite guests on to share the ingredients of what has helped make them the successes that they are. All of it, the good, the not so good. You're not going to find anything half-baked here. And our kitchen gets messy sometimes. That's when the fun starts. So come on and join us. Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Cookbook. I'm your host, Iris Goldfeder, and I'm like crazy excited today for my guest. We're both in the podcasting business, and we're going to be doing something together. But Megan is she's like a wealth of knowledge, and she's just a really, really cool, kind person. And I think as we go on in the podcast, you're going to think she's as amazing as I do. So, of course, I'm going to read her bio and bring her on. Okay, so Megan Doherty, author of Podcasting for Business, we're going to talk about that, is a digital marketing strategist with a background in online business development. And like the way that our worlds traverse is just like, it kind of blows my mind. Anyway, she has had the opportunity over the years to work with hundreds of business owners in a huge variety of industries. She co-founded One Stone Creative. See what I did there? Okay. A podcast production agency specializing in leveraging podcasts as marketing channels for small businesses. In 2020, One Stone Creative developed the Business Podcast Blueprints to help companies, say that 3 times fast, Business Podcast Blueprints to help companies and executives dial into the specific ways they can leverage a podcast for their content marketing and business development goals. Megan is also the creator of the Podcasting for Business Conference and author of Podcasting for Business, How to Create a Show That Makes a Bottom Line Difference for Your Company. She currently lives in Western Quebec with her spouse, 2 cats, 4 chickens, that a hawk almost got, but she saved them because she's a great chicken mom, and over 65 thriving houseplants. When not devising new ways to use old content, she painstakingly creates from scratch items that are easily and cheaply available in many stores. Okay, so without further ado, let's meet Megan. And now I have my mic in the right place. Hi.
Hello, Iris. Thank you so much. I've been looking forward to this call so much.
Oh, no, me too. And I love how, you do digital marketing. I do digital marketing. You do podcasts. I do podcasts. Mm-hmm. You did business development. I did business development. I mean, it's like we have this like crazy synergy.
And it doesn't stop there. You used to be a cook. I used to be a baker.
I know. And I
made
meals. And so we could have had like a restaurant with me cooking the food and you doing the dessert. So this is like a partnership that's like meant to be. So
absolutely.
And you have creative and I have creative, and it's just all so cool and awesome. So, but we're not going to tell you about all that right now. We're going to talk about other stuff, and then we'll get into those things. First off, thank you for joining me today. I've been really looking forward to this. I just, ever since, I'll give you a quick background. I was doing one of the panels for I think it was like VC Europe X. And it was the first panel that we did for LGBTQIA plus business owners. And in my divine wisdom, I decided that I should have 7 people on the panel instead of like a normal panel for an hour of maybe about 4 people. But I'd never put a panel together before. Megan was one of the panelists. And Megan is quiet, so Megan did not get as much airtime as everybody else did, which I felt really bad about. But anyway, she's just really awesome. And we reconnected in a podcasting group last month, and a whole bunch of magic happened. So just really cool. So, okay, so tell us about Megan.
Well, I guess you gave a good starting there. A little bit of a quiet person, which is kind of a funny personality trait to have when you are in broadcast media as a profession. But I think one of the reasons I'm good at what I do in my business part. Well, we're good at this because we're behind the scenes people. So like I take huge joy in other people's projects, and considerably less in talking about myself. So that makes us really good at being, supporting cast for other people's podcasts. We really enjoy that. And, I love running businesses. You alluded, gently and politely to the fact that I'm a giant nerd. So I'm all about the stats, all about the data. And I love building the systems and the processes around things. So, there's just so much fun to do in this industry, which I know you know.
Yeah. And so, but like, how did you get started in all this?
Well, it was 2017 and I was in between projects at the time. I had left the kind of the internet marketing education company where I'd gotten like my education and started my career, done a couple of different interesting projects and was just kind of at loose ends. And I got a call one day. It was random. It was out of the blue and it's from Audrey Casino, who I worked with at the digital marketing education company. And she said, you want to start a business together? And I said, okay. And so
because I love how that happens. It's just
I do too, and we kind of put our heads together. Really, this could be fun. We both got some time. We've got some energy. And her background was in broadcast audio. She worked as a producer and on-air talent in Dallas for 20 years.
Wow.
And of course, with my digital marketing background, we're like, okay, we can do podcasts. We can do them for businesses. This is like an up and coming industry. Let's get into it. And we've been doing it ever since.
That's amazing. And I love what you do. You have like so. It's very multifaceted. So I love that she's broadcast talent because that really helps a lot. For me, it was really funny because I had the podcast and now I have a TV show. So I kind of did it backwards, right? But I don't know that I would have had the TV show if I hadn't had the podcast because I don't know that I would have had the confidence, right, to be on. So it was really this weird, turn of events, I guess, for me. So it's been interesting. So I love that you have that built in.
It's nice. And she's also introverted despite, having this amazing radio voice and all of this talent and all this experience. But, she thrives sort of like I do on helping other people really shine. So she gives like great feedback to our clients. She's always like picking me about my audio. She's like, you got to get closer to your mic. You're moving too much. And it's fun to have that level of like feedback happening all the time.
Like I'm doing right now. I'm trying to get comfortable. Like my chair. So I just ordered a new chair because my chair, it kind of like moves to the side whenever it wants now. So I'm trying to like get it to where it's comfortable and I'm squeaking. But anyway, and people know I move a lot anyway.
They'll fix it in post. That's the magic fire industry. We'll fix it in post.
It'll be stop moving. Okay. So God, there's so many things that we have to talk about and I don't know which one. What should we talk about first? Because I think there's a lot of things I want to leave people with like top of mind. So, okay, I know what we'll do. So tell us about you, like your story, like how, I don't know, how business development, like, your career path.
Yeah. So I always knew I was going to, as soon as I became aware of the concept that I was going to run businesses or run companies, like I remember having business ideas when I was really little. My mom used to call me Meggie the Mogul.
Oh my God, I love that. That's going to stick now. I just want
Which
you
is
to know.
not a name I will answer to anymore, for the record. Only my mother gets to call me Meggie.
I won't use it.
Thank you. But so I had like all through elementary school, I sold jewelry, I had lemonade stands. When I went to college, I had a cleaning company that I ran on the side.
Oh, wow.
And then I ended up as a baker and got tired of working on my feet early in the morning all the time. So I did what you did in 2010 and you wanted a new job. I went to Craigslist. And I found a job as a marketer's assistant for a brand new internet marketing education company. It was just started. I was the first hire at this company. I worked with them for 6 years. And I got to grow with the company and it was a phenomenal education because the owner of that company was really invested in learning and training. So I got to do like a reading MBA program. I got to learn to manage people. I got to do training seminars.
Wow.
And I really got to learn how to help other people build businesses while watching one grow. So like I couldn't have bought a better education than the one I got doing that kind of work. And, over time, as you grow as a professional, of course, I started to have different ideas about how I wanted things to be done. And that kind of urge to have my own thing took back over. So I ended up leaving the company. And then, kind of got into what I'm doing now. So it's been an interesting journey. And there's lots of like little side paths and divergences and a couple of wild years there in Montreal, which we don't need to get into. But mostly it's been really fun.
You got the years in Montreal. I mean, we all have, that's the beauty about it, right? Is we all have that piece of us. Mm-hmm. Even though people don't want to admit it, it's there. And, and I think it's fun. Okay, so this is, entrepreneurs listen to this. And so I try not to get really structured, although some people want me to be structured. So I get like semi-structured. So I guess I'll start with questions. This is kind of weird because the way that it's been has been like a really big story, and then I peppered the questions in. But because we have so much that we want to cover, it's kind of like this is like so different. And I know people are listening and they're going, what the fuck are they talking about? Like what's coming? What's coming? Right?
That's okay. Blame me, Iris, because you have this wonderful kind of open style, and you take the time and you explore the stories. And I'm a mean, nasty person who hates joy and loves only spreadsheets. So this is a combination of our
That's
styles. A little more
nasty.
Structure is
My wife, who's patiently sitting on the couch, loves spreadsheets, and she's. So you're not an evil person. You're a geek. You're a nerd. I'm a geek. You're a nerd. So you said that you were in business development. Was it corporate?
No, this was kind of online marketing. So I worked with people who were building online online businesses, growing audiences.
Okay, so like .com kind of.
.com, yeah. So it was really like that kind of 2010 to 2016 era when like the internet was exploding and all these businesses were starting, and It was the era of the webinar. Was where I kind of came up in the world. Yeah. So that's where I got my education in an industry for good or ill, and it has both good and ill, as I know you know. That's how I learned.
Yes. So, when you were working for them and you decided to go on your own, was it just because of that phone call, or had you been thinking about it prior? Or
the phone call came later. It came actually about a year later. But I decided to leave because it happens when you hire someone really good, right? Eventually they're going to outgrow what you have available for them to do. And that was what was happening to me. Yeah. And so it was becoming more difficult for me to really kind of express what I wanted to, and to make the kind of decisions that I wanted to working for someone else's company. So I thought it was time to head off and do my own thing. And I ended up freelancing for a couple of years, taking on different projects, ran some online events with other friends, did a little like structure and reorganization for a different company, and just kind of trying to figure out what was next, because it had been such a formative time for me, like both age wise. I started in my early 20s, was in my later 20s when I ended it was a huge change. I moved back to my hometown or close to Ottawa, and just it was time for a big shift. And so the leaving that job was a big part of that.
Gotcha. Wow. So, God, and it's so funny because I think we all go through, like you had, her call you up and say, hey, do you want to start a business? I was working for a communications company. I got fired. And I called my clients and I was like, hey, just to let you know, I'm not there anymore. And they're like, what is wrong with them? But there was a backstory behind that. And one of my clients said, hey, come to the commercial shoot that you set up. Mm-hmm. And let's just, kind of talk. So I said, okay. And so I get out there and, he said, you want to start a business together? And I was like, I didn't say yes right away because, it's like pros and cons, right? It's like, okay, let's see, because he was a guy, and I know that sounds terrible, but men and women, they want different things, I think. And then there's different dynamics. And so he was up in Chicago. I drove up to Chicago the following week. we weighed the pros and cons, and the pros way out, won the cons. So we just went ahead and did it. And then I created the LLC down here, which was good because we broke up like 4 years into it. So everything stayed in my name. And then I had another partnership that didn't work out. And that was that was a whole nother story that I won't talk about. After that ended, I realized that, this is a little bit different, but I was like, I do not want to be in a legal partnership with anybody again, because it's very, it could be very restrictive depending on who it is. So I grew the business, for 2 years under a non-compete. And I found skills that I didn't know that I had, and I wouldn't have found out if I wasn't under that. Yeah. So it really worked out. Like everything just worked out the way it's supposed to. But the podcast, literally, we ended our partnership. A few weeks later, I found a diagnosis because I had gotten sick from COVID. Could have died. Didn't know that until he said, "You're going to live." And I went, "Huh?" And he said, "Oh yeah,
that's terrifying.
This thing could have killed you." And I literally got in the car, cried, called my wife, then my mother-in-law. And then as soon as I got home, I called Kofi and I said, "Okay, let's do the podcast." And that's how it started. And then I think he came over the following week and we sat here and we started masterminding on, okay, what are we going to call it?
Yeah.
Duh. And it literally was like, we looked at each other, duh, the cookbook. It's like Gasstovecreative, right? So it's funny how things just kind of fall into place, I think.
It is. I like, that's such a great example, I think, of a difference in our personalities for all the similarities that we have, because I was producing podcasts for 5 years before I ran out of excuses to not have one of my own. So I eventually had to start one because, and I enjoy it. Like, don't get me wrong, I like doing it. It's a nice part of the week. I enjoy a lot about it, but like, being known and seen and promoting that kind of stuff, I'm not shy, but I don't take joy in it.
Right. And honestly, if there's, somebody on your team that does, right, I think that's really important, because for me, I'm a musician, so I'm used to being on stage. I'm used to the attention. I'm used to the, all of that. And this was so different because, when I was in the other partnership, COVID was happening. So I was here, and the way that all of this, video and everything got started right before COVID, and it was like a year before that, Kofi's like, you need to be doing video. And guys, Kofi's my producer, right? So just want to kind of put that out there. But for a year, because we've known each other like, almost 19, 20 years at this point. But for a year, he was like, you need to be doing video. And I was like, I never need to be doing video. Because to me, when you went on Instagram and you went on all these things, it was like the movie star type of people that were, perfect, like all of these things. And I was, that is not me. So when COVID hit, I turned to, because I was stuck in the house, I turned to LinkedIn and I just started hopping in on this marketing thread that was happening. So I just kind of, said, hey, and I threw my opinion out, and then people just started embracing me and my opinion. And one of the women was Nina Forreep. And she did this whole video thing, and it was called the Video Challenge. It was a 30-day video challenge where you had to do a video every day of the month.
Oh, like SSS Beta. Yeah.
Right. And so nobody had done it before. I sure as hell didn't do it before, and a lot of people in the group hadn't. So it was a really good way to get used to doing videos. So we would take the phone, and she, showed us how to hold it, and how to put it on the tripod and what tripod to buy and like all the things. And so I did it for a few months, and I think it was like that started in April, and by June, COVID was at its height. Nobody had gotten their hair done, anything done for like 5 months at that point. I had my Bonnie Raitt streak like right there. And it was like, nobody gave a shit how anybody looked. It was the message. And when that message came through, that it was like, it has nothing to do with how you look. I mean, obviously you don't want to come in with like a dirty, whatever.
Yeah.
But, you don't have to be Taylor Swift. Sorry, I'm a minor Swiftie now. I just think she's like dynamic. Or a Melissa Benoist or something like that. You could be us and be on video and, share your message, whatever message, it is. Because whatever message we convey, there's somebody out there who needs to hear it. We don't know it. But there is. And what I find really interesting is that as I was doing my video, I would get DMs being like, oh man, I was thinking about that, but with you bringing it up again, it made me decide to act on it. Or, you brought up a really good point of XYZ, and it was like, wow, this matters. What we do matters. So that's what I love about it is, we don't, we look decent, right? We're well dressed. We're, so. Put together, right? But
tidy.
we're tidy. Yes. But I think the important thing is that whatever we say, somebody needs to hear, or they wouldn't be listen. So I feel that the people that are tuning into the episodes that they're doing it because there's something in there that they are going to glean and take away and use. And that's what I love, is that we get to do that for people. It's like we get to be that, that voice that kind of is like, okay, go forth, child, and do what it is that you want to. And I love that about this. So I feel really honored, that we get to do stuff like this. So what advice would you have for somebody thinking about becoming an entrepreneur?
Oh, for becoming an entrepreneur. The first is, do you have literally any other feasible way to make a living?
That's awesome.
No, but I think there are people who kind of have always wanted to have control and have the responsibility and have all of the freedom that comes with that. And there are other people who don't, like my spouse. They hear about like the decisions I make or the ups and downs that come that are a perfectly normal part of running a business, and they're just like, absolutely not. Right. I never want to do. There's no way I would ever want to do that. Perfectly valid life choice. So I think if someone's thinking about it, the question is, how much risk are you willing to take on, and how much responsibility are you take on? Because I'm sure you've had these feelings. I'm sure every entrepreneur has had the feelings. Sometimes you just want a grown up to come and fix the problem, or to you want to be able to go ask someone, please handle this. There's no one else to handle this. So I think if you're kind of considering entrepreneurship, you do have to consider that the buck will stop with you. And I mean, I love having that responsibility. I feel like I'm good at having that amount of responsibility of, being an entrepreneur and running a company. But again, I got a lot of experience in seeing other people doing that before I ever did it for myself, other than like on a really small side hustle basis. Right. So I had an idea of what I was getting into. So I think if you're really serious about entrepreneurship, I'd try to get hired at an entrepreneur run company for maybe not a long time, maybe for a contract, but like spend a little time. If you can be, someone's executive assistant or, do a contract project, see what it looks like on the inside in the industry that you want to work on. Cause that could give you a lot of insight and maybe reveal some things that you didn't know about running a business.
That is some of the best advice. So, I ask that question mostly every episode. And we always get, different types of answers, but that is such a good idea to see what it looks like. I think the only thing that they won't see is when, the door is closed and we're banging our head against the wall. Like, what the hell were we thinking? And
then also you might not also get to see like those moments of when everything seems really awful, but then like that client says, actually, yeah, I am ready to go. Here's the check. And that euphoria of things like turning right. Oof, it's a good moment, but it's a very private moment for the most part.
That dance that you do when the door is closed. Yes, it's very private.
So the very best and the very worst you won't get to see, but you'll get to see a lot of at least you'll have a sense of like, what are the decisions I'm going to have to make? What are the things I'm going to have to organize? Right. What does it look like when it goes wrong? Because when it does, it's going to be your fault. And you got to be ready to deal with that.
Yeah. I mean, you have to be able to take ownership of whatever. And if you cannot do that, in life, don't become an entrepreneur, because you will have to own it. Even if it's not your fuck up, right? If it's somebody else's, it's still your business. It's yours.
Yeah. Anytime any member your team screws up, disappoints a client, that's on you.
Yep. 100%. And
that's the way it goes.
We just had something happen this week where my intern, we were doing, we do social for a local bug company. He's integrated pest management. He's not a bug company. I just want to be real clear. He's very particular about that, but it is what he does, right? It's very specific. Like they're not exterminators. They are pest management, because they use chemicals specific to the bug, and they're safe. Yeah. It's a trip, and they're safe for your kids and your pets. So, but one of the images was supposed to be a wolf spider. And when I looked on because we always use, licensed pictures, when I looked on it and I, put the search in there, it came up and it said wolf spider. And it had like 2 eyes. Well, actually, it had 5 eyes. It had like 2, and then it looked like a smile. It actually was kind of cute. And I don't like spiders, but this thing, I was like, oh, that's kind of cute. Although wolf spiders go on the back of their things and like they hiss at you. They're like, they're not happy spiders. Anyway,
we love that.
So, I send him the thing, and I think he like approved everything except for 2. So I switched the 2 out. One of the ones I switched out was the wrong one.
Oh,
So we posted it. And, he said, that's what did he call it? Oh, a huntsman spider.
Oh, big difference.
How the hell do you know that?
I have an aunt in Australia.
Oh my God. Anyway, so I said, so what's the difference? He goes, the huntsman has 5 eyes and the wolf spider has 6 eyes. And I went, are you kidding me right now? So he goes, people look at us to be the bug experts, and if it's the wrong bug, and I went, so I said, okay, we're going to take it down. And he's very kind with me. Like we've grown to be friends. He's a really great client, but he's also a good friend. And I said, that's on me. So he said, well, but I sent it, and I said, no, that's on me. So I apologize. It's not, I'll make sure it doesn't happen again, but it's on me. And he said, that's what I appreciate about you, is that you because it is. And I'm okay with it. I'm okay with saying, okay, I missed that, or yes, my team member missed it, but I should have caught that in the email when it went back and forth. So I'm fine with all that. But yeah, you have to have thick skin. Thick skin,
yeah. And I think that whole kind of, we try really hard not to make mistakes, but in podcasting, there's a lot of moving parts. There's like a whole bunch of things that have to happen in the right order every single week. And 99% of the time it does. Have you ever noticed how when like that 1 out of 100 errors is always going to happen to the same client, like in the same week? So you're just going to look completely incompetent to one person.
Yeah. And they know that you're not, right? Like they know you're not. Right.
But it's like it always lands on one person at one time, and it's brutal. But yeah, I think how you handle that kind of mistakes though is such a big thing.
Yes.
Like especially when you don't make a lot of mistakes, and when you're dealing with someone's media and presentation online. Mm-hmm. So like dealing with their podcast, that's their voice, that's their brand. Dealing with their social, that's how they're engaging with their audience. That's their voice and their brand. You have to, I found like we make a really big, not like a big production, but like when we really make a mistake, that's what we comp the next episode. Because we take it really seriously. And like, we've only had to do that in 6 times in 7 years. Which I think is pretty good. But like, that's the response. If we make a mistake, like if the wrong audio goes out, which has happened, it's not good. Like wrong episode in the feed for the wrong podcast. Bad morning. Very bad morning. And so terrible.
So what happened with what did you do?
What happens is, and this is the few times
did
this
you
happened.
Catch it or did they?
They caught it.
Oh, See, that's...
And worse than that, one of their audience members caught it and brought it to them, who then brought it to us. And I was just like, oh.
That's the bad one. So when we catch it, we right, we're like, we're so on it. Hey, I just want you to know we caught this. But yeah, when their audience so
yeah, it's only been one time. It's come like through two layers of people. Usually we'll catch it first, which is good. But yeah, that was not a fun one. But it was a totally simple little error. Like it was just a matter of there are two files next to each other and just the wrong one was selected.
Right.
Easy mistake to make. Should have been easy to catch. But it gets busy. We all get busy sometimes.
100%.
But yes, that's kind of the case. It's like, okay, yeah, we're going to fix that. Obviously, at no charge. Your next episode is going to be free.
Yes.
But like that kind of like really taking mistakes seriously. I think when you make them and really taking ownership for them as a company, people do respond to that really well because there are very few people who don't understand that humans occasionally make errors.
Right.
And I think if you own the mistake, most people are quite gracious.
Right.
And then
I think it's I know a company who they made a mistake and they blamed the client.
Ooh.
And it was like, why would you do that? What? No.
That's not good.
No, it's not good. I have an amazing client. She listens to this all, like when she's walking and stuff. So hi, Michelle. She listens all the time. And we do her social media as well. And she'll write the post and then she'll have, either we do, video, because we do video for her and then we produce it and then we, put that out as content, or there's a particular article that, she likes. So she'll write, she'll write the post. She'll put the link in and then all we do is literally cut and paste it and put it in there and make sure that it gets out on time and everything. And I forgot what happened, but there was like a wrong article and she always lets me know, right? Yeah. Because I'm not on LinkedIn that early and I probably need to be. So I'm going to try and get better about that, and she'll catch it and she'll be like, oof, the wrong, this was posted. And I'm like, oh shit, I'm, so sorry. And I always give her extra stuff anyway, because, she's been with me like, God, going on 3 years now. Yeah. And she's I love her to death. But she's always very gracious about it. I'm like, I'm sorry. We'll make sure that it doesn't happen again. I think that when we're adults, and I think that's what it boils down to, right? So if we make a mistake, oh shit, I'm really sorry. Not
exactly.
Well, did you send me the right thing? Actually, yeah, I did. Well, how do you know that you did? What? Like, how can you even say that to somebody and then expect to retain the client, right? And then get a referral or something. I mean, it's like,
yeah, I
don't know. But there are businesses out there that do it. And when I hear about it, like I literally right in here, I get this why would you do that? And maybe that's what sets us apart, right? Is that we own up to it and we say, hey, we're going to make it right. Yeah. So I think that's super, super important. Okay. So, and
now that we've hashed out all of our mistakes.
I think they're lessons.
No, it's good.
We learn from them, right?
Yeah.
So if it's a mistake, it's like insanity is making the same mistake over and over. But when something happens and we learn from it, it is a lesson. I'm going to say it is a lesson.
And a wonderful opportunity to update your systems. So
yes,
I know the processes that we have now and kind of the layers of checks and balances is so much more sophisticated than it was when we started 7 years ago.
Right.
And that it is it sucks when something goes wrong and it sucks when you make a mistake, especially a client facing one. But it is good to unearth, because when a mistake is, there was a process problem somewhere. There wasn't a check that was needed, or someone was overloaded with work, or, didn't have enough support with stuff going on personally and they were too distracted. Like that's all stuff that can be fixed,
right?
Or at least can be addressed. So it is a good learning opportunity. 100%.
100%. So there are seasoned entrepreneurs that are listening to this. So what is an obstacle that they might be going through now, or something that you've overcome or that you're going through now?
And well, I guess at this point, yeah, I guess I am a seasoned entrepreneur. 7 years in, that's pretty
7
seasoned.
years, you're a seasoned.
Yeah.
My business is 10 years old, but my podcast is 2.5 years old. I still feel like a little baby, even though it's 91 episodes. I found out.
90. I'm about to release episode 91 next week of my podcast.
Oh, see, there's something else. Okay, universe,
where do we keep finding these? That's amazing.
That is like crazy. Okay.
Oh, yeah, so next week as of the time of this recording, not the release date, but anyway.
Right.
So an obstacle, and this is one, and this was an earlier realization that I had, because I remember when I worked for another entrepreneur, and I was often in between kind of the ownership of the company and the frontline team members. I was a manager, among other things. And so I thought, often, as many managers do, why is top brass so unreasonable? Why do I have to spend so much time protecting my team? Why do they always seem to have the worst opinion? And I was quite judgmental about this in my mind until I had my own company, until I had my own employees. And I realized, it feels a lot higher stakes when it's your company and other people are doing work for you. Yeah. And I am less inclined to be generous of my thoughts, and I am more inclined to micromanage. And that, I think, is a really important hurdle to get over, because if you are like really paranoid, these people who I've hired for their personality and skills and abilities, they're out to get me. It's a natural feeling. It's normal, but it's very damaging. Because it makes you a jerk to work for. And you end up getting into processes that you should not be involved in. And I remember we hired Darla is our wonderful account manager. She handles all of the day-to-day details. She is the most amazing, organized person in the entire universe. And I was micromanaging her for her first 6 months. I must have been driving her absolutely nuts. And she is a person of such strong character that she was able to be like, "Hey, Megan." And she said this very politely, not in the language I'm about to use, but she said, "Could you back the fuck off and let me do my job?" And I said,
and the fact that she felt comfortable enough to say that to you, that's the atmosphere that you fostered, right? Because not many people will go to their boss and be like, "Back the fuck off."
Yeah. As you said, she would use much kinder language, but that was like the thrust of the message. Okay. She didn't say that. She was like, she used polite terms, as is her way. But the message was, you're preventing me from doing what I need to do, and you are making a mess of things. And I was I should not have been involved in what she was doing, and where she was completely right. And it was a really good wake up call for me, that like, I have good judgment. I hired someone smart. They can do it.
There you go.
Like they can, I need to let them. But as an entrepreneur, especially when it's your baby, your business is your baby, and it's hard to let go of the little things, especially when you were doing it beforehand. And it is also true. Most people will not ever care about your business as much as you do. They shouldn't have to. They shouldn't be expected to. If you're really lucky, you're going to get someone who's going to treat it as if it's their own. So when that kind of having trust in yourself to let go and to like make decisions that will enable you to let go, and then in the people that you've entrusted with that, it's hard to do. So watch out for that obstacle. I would say the tendency to feel a little bit like a victim. As the entrepreneur, because you don't get to play that role really. You have to make all the decisions. You don't get to, "Oh, poor me," to anyone, because there's no one to do it to. So you can kind of sometimes take it out on the team a little.
Interesting. I like that. And it's funny because I still haven't hired a salesperson because I haven't found anybody. So to me, it's like, I'm my brand. So if I'm going to if I'm going to hand this off, I need to hand it off to not another me, but somebody as competent as me. And it's not that they're not out there. I haven't found them yet. And it makes me really, really, really nervous. And that's something that I'm going to be working with. I told you I was working with Kim Woods. This is one of the things, because when I even think of letting it go, like right now I'm talking about it and my entire chest just completely constricted. It's like, I can't do that. But I know I'm going to have to, because, I'm in the process of scaling. So in order for me to scale, I kind of have to duplicate myself and kind of go, okay, take it. And it's really, really hard.
Yeah, it's so hard. So it's an interesting choice. I've made I have like so much admiration for people who kind of are their brands. I've like tried so hard to avoid that as I've built this company of like becoming like the face, and I think because coming up like in internet marketing and you've got all the personality brands in the industry, and I'm just like, I don't want to be like that. And I know I never would be because I'm not like that as a person, but like, I want to build the business to be independent of me as a person. And I always try to do that. And so now that I'm kind of getting into more like individual marketing, I'm, creating more content myself, spending more time doing it. I'm finding it like a really uncomfortable place to be because my priority has always been building a brand that existed entirely outside of me. So it's been an interesting challenge to kind of walk that line between, yes, I do need to make personal connections with people because that's how people make buying decisions, and also wanting to create something that, is recognizable without my input.
Right. Wow. And it's so funny because for me, it's always been very relationship based. And I've always been the face. One of the issues with my former partner, not the first one, the second one, was that I was the face. I was the one doing the video. I was the one doing this, and it was not okay with him. There were other things, but that was one of the things, and it was really interesting because like this is my comfort zone. Which, 4 years ago, I would have been like, you're on crack. But this is my comfort zone. Like this right here is my little kingdom, right? I have, my little camera, my little mic, and then all the other stuff. But this is where I make all my decisions. This is where I do all the things. Because somebody was like, why don't you have a backdrop? For the TV show, I have a backdrop. But for this is, you're getting me. So you're getting Darth Vader and Mando up there and, Grogu and my lightsabers that I made, and a really funny story with a vase that Lindsay Wagner signed.
Nice.
But so the funny story behind it, and I'm going to like totally go on a tangent, but I used to work with a woman named Lindsay Wagner, but Waggoner. And for my birthday, she gave me that vase. And so it was always up on my, we have like a whole bunch of vases on the top of our cabinets. Well, anyway, so we always laughed that Lindsay Wagner gave me a vase for my birthday. Well, last year, Lindsay Wagner was going to be at Comic-Con at Indiana Comic-Con. So I said to Heather, and she's like, only like you're fucking crazy. Only you would do this. So I said, what if we take the vase that Lindsay Wagner gave me, have Lindsay Wagner sign it, and then take a picture with Lindsay Wagner with the vase that Lindsay Wagner signed that Lindsay Wagner gave us.
I love it. That's
incredible. And so we did it.
Yeah.
And it was so funny. And I hadn't spoken to the vase giving Lindsay Wagner in years. And so I reached out to her on Facebook and I told her what I was doing. And she goes, that's like the sweetest thing ever. I can't believe you still have that. And I was like, well, yeah, I mean, because it meant a lot, right? But it was just really funny that it was Lindsay Wagner and it was like this whole like Lindsay Wagner thing. But anyway, so we got the thing done. When I was explaining it to her, she looked at us like we were like we were nuts. Because I said, so our friend Lindsay Wagner gave us this, and she's looking at me going like, yeah. Now she's 74. I almost want to ask her, but I can't remember. I think she's like 74 or 76. So she's a lot more fragile than the bionic woman. Right? So, like she kind of got it, but she didn't get it. Her handler got it. She thought it was like the funniest thing she ever heard. And then when I was explaining it to Lindsay, and she's trying to find a place to sign it, because of course it's not a smooth base, as you can see. It's like anyway, so it was, you had to be there, but it was funny. So anyway, I don't even know how that came up, but okay. So, I know what your differentiator is. We're not going to talk about that. We have about, I think, like 15 minutes. So what I want to do, you and I have stuff going on, but I want to talk about your book, which is launching today, technically, because
very exciting
we had filmed this earlier, but I said film this. We recorded this earlier, but the book is coming out today. So why don't you tell the people about your book?
So, podcasting for business is subtitle "How to Create a Show That Makes a Bottom Line Difference for Your Company" is the end result of kind of the years that I and other team members have spent figuring out how business owners can actually get value out of podcasts. Because very often you start a podcast and you've got a lot of enthusiasm and everyone's excited about it, and you make some great episodes, you meet some great people, and you have a really good time, and then a couple of weeks later you're like, so what's happening? Are we going to make some money out of this? Or is that guest going to become a client? Are we going to repurpose this content? And then you think, yes, we're definitely going to do those things. Eventually that'll happen. We need to, just put in some more time and some more effort. And so you do it for another couple of months, and then you can't really still see any direct line results in many cases. Sometimes you do, sometimes you get very lucky, but often it's really hard to figure out what is the value. So we figured out, how do we track the value, different kinds of value. We have a method called the Business Podcast Blueprints, which is kind of having an overarching level, high level goal for your podcast, the prime directive, if you will. And once you choose that, you can optimize the show for different business outcomes, kind of nestled underneath that overarching goal. And when you do that, then all of a sudden, then you've got these piles and piles and piles of data that's telling you how successful the different elements of your podcast are. And when you track those and look at them over time, you've got clarity. Okay, we're putting in this much investment in the podcast and we're getting this much value out of the podcast. And the value might be in new relationships. It might be in sales. It might be in SEO. It could be all sorts of different things. There's 15 different business outcomes in the book to optimize a podcast for. But it's a complete system of how to make these decisions, how to optimize the podcast, and then how to kind of functionally podcast, especially if you've never done it before. So I'm very proud of it. It was written over the early part of this year with a book coach. We documented the entire process in a video podcast, which is also available. Awesome. The entire book coaching process, warts and all, is currently live and available to be listened to. So that's pretty exciting. The book is available to buy today from Amazon in your preferred format.
That is so exciting.
It's pretty exciting.
And I think you sent it to me how long ago? And it's really, yeah. And I have not had a chance to read it yet. And I'm going to. I have I think 4 books that I have to read in the next probably 2 months, because people have sent them to me, and I'm like, I promise. And it's hard to make time, because our day doesn't end. My day doesn't end at 5:00. Last night I think I worked until 8:00. The night before I worked till 8, and I usually don't. I'll usually try to stop when my wife gets home from work. Yeah. But the Democratic convention has been on for the last 3 days. I've gotten zero sleep because it has been so exciting and exhilarating that I'm up till 2-3 o'clock in the morning. I can't go to sleep. Yeah. The first night was amazing. Hillary spoke. So, that's my woman. And then, Tuesday, Michelle Obama spoke, and then Barack Obama spoke. How the hell are you going to sleep after that? I was up to 3:30, and then I had to get up yesterday, and we were talking Mercury retrograde. Tuesday, I think I got about maybe 4 hours sleep. And then last night we watched it. And it was just, Tim accepted his nomination for vice president. Yeah. They had his football team out there. I mean, it was just amazing. And so we're all fired up. I have a presentation that I have to give this morning. So I have to go over it with my wife at 2:00 in the morning. So again, I felt, I got to sleep at 3. So I think I've had maybe 12 hours sleep in the last 3 days. Tonight I will sleep, because tomorrow, I'm off. I've taken the day off. So yay. Yeah.
Good for you.
My wife is having a medical thing done, so not a bad thing, just a routine thing. And I'm I am taking the day off. So, sleep will be there. But yeah, so there's not enough hours in the day. So the book is, if you're thinking about doing a podcast, get the book.
Or if you have a podcast and you're not sure that it's kind of pulling its weight in the same way that it could be, get the book. And there is a present for book buyers today. So if people make the decision, because it is launch day, I run a conference in the fall. It's a virtual, all online, all recorded podcasting for business conference. If you order a book today, you will get a free ticket. So it's 3 days of amazing content. It's going to be fantastic. And the book is pretty good too. Like, I have gotten some really great feedback on it. I think it's fun to read. It is, what did my spouse call it? Entertaining and exhaustive, which is...
I love that. What's funny is you being a nerd, that is so like on point. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean,
oh yeah, that's good.
You are so data driven, right? I'm more like, let's just do the thing, and we're doing the thing, and we're doing it. So yes, so get the book, get the goodies that come with it. And then, so we have a little surprise cooked up.
We do.
That was an accident, but it just kind of it was accidental. It just like happens. So, Megan and I, after we reconnected, we started talking, we saw all of these synergies, as you can see, that we've been talking about. And one of the things, was that Megan really enjoys doing audio podcasts, and we really enjoy doing video podcasts. So we were like, And then we were like, well, Megan has this knowledge of all of the technical pieces, and we have all of the pretty stuff. So all of the video and the branding and all of that. So we kind of put our heads together and said, maybe we should do a podcast mastermind. Ta-da! And the sky opened up and the angels started singing and the universe was like, yes, there was a reason that you two reconnected. And so here we are. So we are doing a mastermind in September and a teaser in September as well. And what is it called? The teaser is called Create a Killer Podcast Concept. So one of the first things you need to do after you decide, hey, you know what, I should have a podcast, is figure out like exactly what you're going to be doing and why. So like the concept or the conceit of the show. What's it going to be like? What's it going to accomplish? And what's it going to sound and feel like? And that, if you can kind of come up with a good one for that has a great business purpose, that fits in with your branding and that works with your messaging and is kind of integrated with the other things that you're doing in your business, then you've got a pretty solid chance of success. So we've got the time set for it's going to be Tuesday the 17th, which is a week from today.
Just a week from today, on at 1 p.m. Eastern, just a half an hour. And in that half an hour, Iris and I are going to teach you how to develop a podcast concept that you can take and run with, or join us to do further masterminding on, should you so desire. All of the details will be forthcoming on Tuesday.
Yes. So we're not going to announce all of it, but I will say that later in this month is when we will be doing the mastermind. And the mastermind is going to be filled with all of the things that you need to do to create your own podcast. And it's very exciting. And I love that. I love that we get to do this together, because
I do too.
We are literally like opposite sides of the coin. Like you are the strategist and the thinker, and what is it? You're the right side of the brain and I'm the left side of the brain.
I think that's the breakdown. Yeah.
Did I get it right? Or is it the left or?
I can never remember.
I always screw that up. Anyway, whichever side of the brain, we are each other's opposites, and we complement each other so well. And I love that, because there aren't a lot of times that you get to do that, right? There are just some people that are creative, and there are people that are, more technical, and they don't have that symbiosis. Symbiosis. Thank you. And we do, and I just love that. And it's like, go ahead.
Oh yeah. Well, what I like about it too is that because we're each able to kind of bring these different angles to it, so everyone who attends the teaser, especially for the podcast concept, is going to get a very fleshed out idea. because a great idea that's really flashy and looks great on the outside, maybe it fits in, like it's beautiful name, beautiful brand, very sticky, but it doesn't have that structural foundation to back it up, not going to succeed. On the other hand, if you have an amazing structural foundation, it's built, it's logical, it's perfect, but nobody wants to look at it, you're also not going to succeed. So you really do need both. And so getting to work with you on this, I think it's just such a wonderful chance to like really create something that is complete. And we're going to do it in 30 minutes. So like sign up for this one. It's going to be great.
Yeah. And this one's free. So if you sign up for this one's free. The one at the end of the month is not, but once you get through this half hour, you're going to want to join the mastermind because you are going to learn so much that it's going to be like, why wouldn't I? So, and we created it that way purposefully, on purpose. We did it on purpose. So yes. Well, thank you. I just clapped. I don't know how loud that was, but I have my gain control on, so hopefully I didn't just blow somebody's eardrum. So see, this is the things that, we're cognizant of as we're recording, right? Like if we, are we wearing a lapel mic, which we don't, but if we are, and you slap your chest, it's going to make noise, right? For
me, and this is my big irritation with video. Like I know video is the way, like it's popular, but just because I don't have the training or the discipline to look at my webcam instead of looking at you in the screen where we're recording. And so sometimes I'm seeing my own eyes go a direction I'd rather than not be going, because I know you should be looking, of course, as I'm doing right now, directly into the webcam rather than at the person that you're talking to. And I just never remember to do it when I get interested in the conversation.
I look at you. When I'm talking to the audience, I look in the webcam, but when I'm talking to you, I look at you. Should I be talking to the webcam? See, that's something that we're going to talk about. I don't know. I've never done that.
Because that's what gives you the straight on look, right? Because that's the view that you're getting. So if I'm looking at you right now, but I feel like my eyes are sort of looking down that way. But if I look up like this, I'm looking straight ahead now.
Oh, see, I didn't see. I'm learning something new, and every day. That's one of the things that I love about what we get to do and what I get to do. I learn something new every single day, and I love it. So I love to embrace that. Yay! I'm glad we got all of the things out into the ether, and I'm just really excited to be, partnering with you on this. And I just love the way that it just fell into place naturally, which makes me have this amazing feeling about it. Because when things are forced, it's one thing, but this literally was an organic, just meshing. It was amazing. It was just like, duh.
It feels good.
So I know. Well, thank you for spending an hour with my audience and me. And the last question that I ask all of my guests is, what lights your fire?
Lights my fire is making things. Lights my fire more than anything else. I like to build things. So you mentioned in my bio that my hobby is painstakingly recreating from scratch things that are cheaply and easily available in many stores. Last night I spent 3 hours canning peaches. Not because I can't buy canned peach.
Can you send them to the States, or oh no, they won't because it's agriculture. Never mind. Okay,
but so I love to make soap, and I love to do fiber crafts, and I like to grow my own vegetables and meat, and like just the act of making thing that is exciting. And I think that kind of comes into work a little bit too. We get to build new shows from the ground up, and we get to build new systems to support them from the ground up. So of all the things in the world that really light my fire, it is the act of creation. And getting to construct.
Oh, I like that a lot. That's so cool. Okay. Thank you so much. Don't go anywhere. I'm going to say goodbye to the audience, and I will be right back. Everybody, thank you so much for hanging out with us again for another hour, plus. If you are thinking about doing a podcast, if you have a podcast, click on the link that we're going to share with you. Go in and check out the teaser. And that will let you know if you want to go to the mastermind. But what we have cooking up, I did it again. Anyway, what we have cooking up is really, really special. And it's going to bring you a really good ROI. So I'm going to end with that. But thank you so much for watching and listening. And again, like, share, subscribe, reviews, give us reviews. And yeah, until next time, Go out and find what lights your fire. See ya.